The Las Vegas Raiders have now just made a very interesting move, a signing in free agency to the running back situation. Now, a couple of days ago, obviously when free agency started, Josh Jacobs ended up leaving, and since then we have heard nothing but good news according to, Antonio Pierce regarding Zamir White being that go-to guy, that running back that they can lean on next season. However, with that being said, they brought back Ameer Abdullah, Bertain Brown, the former 7th round pick, will be back next season, but they needed to add some more competition to this running back room. Now, according to Jordan Schultz, free agent running back Alexander Mattison is signing with the Raiders. He is just 25 years old, and he's had 17 touchdowns in 5 seasons with the Vikings. A couple of years there, he looked like he was better than Dalvin Cook, and then last season, when he fully got that shot, he wasn't as good as some may have thought he was going to be. However, in this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about Alexander Mattison, what he brings to Raider Nation, but also before we jump into the video, do me a big favor, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's free, doesn't cost anything to subscribe, but also, we're going to be covering the Raiders for the rest of the offseason. Also, comment down below a letter grade for the Raiders so far. How is Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco done, and what do they need to do next? But with that being said, let's dive right into Alexander Mattison. Now, the first thing you're going to notice when you look at Alexander Mattison is he runs with a lot of strength. Now, he's never been a guy who has gotten the full-time role until last season in 2023. Last year, beginning of the season, he started off very, very poorly, had a couple of fumbles in back-to-back games, and they decided to go with a running back by committee approach. But over his career, he's been pretty reliable, especially in the early parts of his career when Dalvin Cook was still there. So I don't think he's a number 1, but I do think he is a really solid number 2. Now, with that being said, let's look at some of his numbers. Over his career, over 580 carries for 2,300 yards and 11 rushing touchdowns. However, he's averaging 4.1 yards per carry. Now, when you look at the Raiders last season, they were averaging 3.7. So, automatically an upgrade from last year. They were ranking almost dead last in the NFL in terms of yards per rush. They also ranked number 30. Again, almost dead last in rush yards per game. They needed to get an upgraded running back. Although Josh Jacobs isn't here, I wouldn't say Mattison is an upgrade by any means necessary, right? But from what they had without Josh Jacobs, this is at least a guy that can come in and bring you some sort of, depth, versatility, a new dynamic, right? Coming out the backfield last season, he had over 30 catches for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air, as well as averaging about 6.4 yards per carry as well. So, yes, Alexander Mattison, although he's not a go-to running back, although he's not the guy that you need to be your workhorse, he is a very, very solid number 2, and we saw that when Dalvin Cook was there, right? We look back to 2021. He had 2020. Let's go to 96 carries, over 434 yards, 2 touchdowns, but averaged 4.5 yards per carry on the ground. During that season, that's when the Vikings were thinking this could be our guy in the future. However, he sadly was not that guy, right? They ended up moving on from this season. Now the Raiders get him, a guy who can not only catch footballs in the air, but also can run on the ground as well. You pair him up with Zamir White. I think Zamir White's going to be a fine player next season. I think he'll get the most of your touches, the bulk of your touches. I think this also allows the Raiders to maybe not even draft their running back, which would be huge, right? A lot of teams end up taking a running back in the 4th, 5th round, when in reality there are other holes you need to clean up, right? O-line is a big one. Depth wide receiver is a big one for this team. Cornerback is a big position. So I think Mattison, gives you depth now, but also gives you the ability to not draft a running back, right? I really do like Zamir White. I like Ameer Abdullah, Bertain Brown, right? You got Tyreek McAllister, Sincere McCormick, right? There are guys I really do like on this football team. Mattison just adds depth. I don't think they need to take a running back because now you have 6 on the roster. I think this is a nice move. I'm going to give it a C+. I don't want you to hate it because the C+. C+ is actually pretty good for running back in my grading books, right? I give Aaron Jones a C+ to the Vikings. I mean, listen, he's a good player, but he's getting up there in age, right? Alexander Mattison, young, hasn't really showcased too much as a starter, but I think he's a really good backup. I'll put it as a B- just because I think he is a really, really good backup running back. But with that being said, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. And if you guys want to see a full Raiders breakdown of the offseason, comment down below the number 1. I already posted one before, but if you guys want a part 2, comment down below part 2, and I'll see you guys in that video. Peace.